What's up, horror fan? Welcome back to the channel. So for today's episode, I believe we have what I would call a very interesting article and a very interesting take on why a particular horror film that did not do good in theaters really didn't do good on POD, rentals, purchases as well. But for some reason, it's finding its life, as this article is going to describe, out on Netflix. But I think the life it's finding is false. I think it's due to the fact that it's something new on Netflix, and most films that pop up new on Netflix tend to become popular at the start. People see, oh, this is something new and I'm going to check it out, or it's something that they were thinking about seeing in theaters, didn't want to spend the money, didn't want to rent it, were waiting for it to come out on streaming. It did, and then you have a flock of people wanting now to finally see a film that they had waited to see but weren't willing to spend, dollar prices at, movie theaters to go see, and now they're seeing it, which is, again, bumping up the numbers for the film. So we're going to cover off on that. You can kind of, if you know the film I'm talking about, just based on what you're seeing in front of you, it's The Watchers. I've seen the film, and in my opinion, it was a huge disappointment. It didn't line up to the source material, and even without the source material, even if you've never read the book and you just strictly watch the film, I would say the film pulls you in a little bit for about at least the first half of the film. After that, you start to sit there and question really what's going on, and then before you even get to the last quarter of the film, you're really starting to wonder why you've wasted your time. And then once you get into that last quarter of the film, you're wishing you would not have wasted your time on this film. So again, I think that's what's pulling this up as far as in the top 10, at least within the US, for new films or films in general. And I think it will soon drop out. I think the other thing that's pushing this film up in the top 10 is the fact it's the holiday season. Many people are either on vacation, they're not at work, or they're off school. So they have the evenings or maybe, the late afternoons to watch something. They put this on to check it out, see what it's about. And that's it. Now, if we had numbers on if this population of people who are watching this film all of a sudden, and if they are actually reviewing it, giving it that thumbs up, the double thumbs up, or the thumbs down, I think that would be a better translation as to, is this film really finding its audience, or as this title says, new life on streaming. And then we're also going to cover off on a new serial killer film that John Duhamel has just wrapped up in production on. So let's get into this one. Critically pan-filmed by M. Night Shyamalan's daughter finds new life on streaming after changing platforms. Again, I don't think it's new life. I think it's just the fact that people see that it's a new film on the platform, they want to watch it, and whether or not it's any good or not, we don't necessarily know if they're enjoying it. So while M. Night Shyamalan has a complicated movie track record, his claim to fame 1999 film The Sixth Sense is still regarded as a seminal horror work today. As a result, his movie made the director synonymous with the twist ending. This trademark has gained him notoriety and criticisms, with some audiences thinking that he over-relies on the twist. He may have some good movies, but he also has produced a litany of critically panned projects, including The Last Airbender, After Earth, and The Happening, which I agree with that statement. All three of those films were not good at all, never should have been made. Or if they should have been made, not made by him. In 2024, his two daughters joined the movie industry in two separate movies. In one of them, Suleika acted in her father's psychological thriller film Trap. Suleika played Lady Raven, the Taylor Swift-esque pop star at the heart of the movie. In addition, his other daughter made her directorial debut with a horror film this year. This movie was not well received by critics at the time, but is now getting a second wind on streaming. So The Watchers has become a streaming hit on Netflix. Side note, as we mentioned, I don't think it's a hit. I just think it's something that's new on the platform, and people see that it's new and they're watching it. The movie is the directorial debut of Ishana, who is also a writer on the film. M. Night produced it alongside Nimit Ashwin and others. The horror film tells the story of a woman who gets stranded in the Irish wilderness and is taken in by strangers before realizing that she is trapped there as mysterious creatures lurk in the night. The Watchers received poor reviews, getting a 32% tomato meter among critics and a 50% audience score. I would agree that those are probably high, but at least they're at where they should be, which are low. Despite the poor reviews, The Watchers has now become a streaming success. On Netflix, the film is currently the number 4 film in the US. Today, January 2nd charts is rising as it was in the number 5 slot on January 1st, beating out our Carry On, The 688, and Interstellar. Joining the ranks in Dune Part 2, Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire, In the Heart of the Sea, Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, the SpongeBob movie, Sponge, Out of Water, and Horizon. Audiences were mixed on The Watcher at the time of release, and the film ultimately underperformed at the box office. This makes its success in the Netflix top 10 somewhat surprising. The film only recently premiered on the platform, as it had previously been available to watch on Max. It might be a contributor to its success, as newly added films tend to perform well on streaming. As The Watchers continues to sit atop these charts, it will be interesting to see whether audiences reevaluate their opinions on the Shyamalan movie. And this is just a poster where you can still stream it at. I don't think they're going to be changing their opinions on it. Again, I think it's because you have people who are at home on the holidays. They're looking for something to watch in the evenings. This is something that's showing up in the new category, and they're going to want to say, oh, what's this about? And they're going to give it a chance and watch it. Whether or not they're actually rating the movie is another story. If they're rating it poorly, then obviously it's not finding its new audience that enjoys it. It's just finding an audience that are willing to give it a chance. It'd be no different than buying a ticket and going to see it in theaters, because you have no idea what you're walking into. The only difference is you walk out of the theater, you really don't have anything else to watch, and I think consider ticket prices, concessions and all that. You're going to spend a lot more money for 2 to 4 people to go see a film, versus you're paying your monthly fee for Netflix, which is probably the cost of just the ticket or maybe 2 tickets, and you're watching the same film probably within a few months of it being in theaters. So I don't think this is finding a new audience. I think it's just people see something new on there, they're going to check it out. Now, whether or not, if we had the rating information from Netflix to say how are people rating it, I think that'd be a better tell if it does have a new audience. I don't think it does. I've seen it. Poor movie. I would not recommend it. As I mentioned, those tomato scores from the audience and critics were pretty gracious in my opinion. 50% from audience. I'm down more where the critics were at 32% or even lower. If you haven't seen this movie, I would not recommend it. However, I've always said, watch a movie for yourself, watch a TV series for yourself, because you might in fact enjoy it when I might in fact not enjoy it. But as far as if someone were to ask me, would I recommend this film? No. But if you still want to take the time to watch it, by all means, take the time, watch it. You might enjoy it. All right, so moving on to our next topic. Filming wraps up on Josh Duhamel's serial killer action thriller, The Neglected. Josh Duhamel stars in the serial killer action thriller The Neglected, which just wrapped filming in Mississippi. Deadline reports that filming has wrapped on a serial killer action thriller called The Neglected, which was shot in Mississippi and stars Josh Duhamel. Duhamel's co-stars include Dylan Sprouse, Till Schweiger, Jeremy London, Jason London, and Ellen Sanchez. Directed and produced by David Lipper, who has also crafted the script with Adam G. Levin. The Neglected tells the story of Detective Shaw, who Josh will be playing, who is about to retire when he finds out on his last day of work that a serial killer has buried his son alive. He then races against the clock to solve the 3 murders and find his son's location before he runs out of air. So let's take a pause there. I feel like we've seen this before. I feel like this brief synopsis, I feel you've heard me use the phrase rinse and repeat probably a handful of times. I feel that that's what this is. I feel this is very much a rinse and repeat situation where this isn't something new. He's retiring, as it mentioned. He's gonna go spend time with his family now, and all of a sudden there's gonna be some side story as to why he's being targeted. Whether it's something to do with these murders or something to do with somebody that he arrested or didn't arrest, or a crime he didn't solve, or someone maybe got wrongly convicted of a crime or murder, and now they're going to use his son as hostage to get him to do their bidding until he either finds a way out of the situation, he finds out where his son is, and he's trying to then play them while trying to save his son at that same moment. Very, very reminiscent of a lot of things we've seen, just a mosh podge of different films, and now we're going to call it The Neglected. I don't know. I don't see this one. I mean, unless it says down here, which I don't think it does. Yeah, there's no news. I mean, it just wrapped production, so there's no news on here as far as a release date. Is this getting theatrical, limited theatrical, streaming? What is it going to be the releasing on? So we have no information on what that looks like yet. This will be one of those films, as you've heard me even mention on these rinse and repeat films. I'm going to need to see a teaser. I'm going to need to see a trailer before I can get fully bought in and fully committed to saying, yep, this interests me enough to see it. Otherwise, this could be one of those where I just say, yep, I don't need to see it. I'm going to skip this one. It just doesn't garner enough interest for me to invest my time in, and then I'll just move on. Now, for others who might be a fan of the brief synopsis I just gave, or a fan of Josh's work, then I would highly recommend go check it out. And if you enjoy it, hey, I'm glad you enjoyed it. But again, it just feels very much like a rinse and repeat just based on this brief synopsis. And whether or not we've seen this in film, we've seen this time and time again in various TV series, whether it's a 1 or 2 episode, or that's what the entire season was about, was this overarching story about the child being kidnapped, and then the father or the parents or somebody is trying to work throughout that entire 10 episode season to figure out the case that they need to figure out, and at the same time save the child. We've seen it over and over again. This isn't anything new, so a little disappointed to read that information, but again, I can be sold. I can be hooked, whether or not the teaser, trailer are good. So hopefully it is, and hopefully this will be something we can look forward to. All right, everyone, that's going to do it for today's episode. Quick thank you to all the new subscribers to the channel. It is greatly appreciated. Thank you for all the support. Keep the comments coming. Drop a comment in the comment section. We are doing our best to reply to everyone that leaves a comment. And drop a comment in the comment section of this video. Let us know what you think about, is the Watchers really finding a new audience? Are people really enjoying it? Is that what's driving it up on Netflix? And based on the synopsis that we read here for Josh Duhamel's upcoming serial killer thriller film, The Neglected, are you looking forward to this, or are you in the same camp as me where again it feels like we've seen this time and time again, whether it's through TV series or other movies that we've already gotten, and this really isn't anything new that we're seeing, and could this be a potential pass? So let us know down in the comment section if you haven't done so already, and again, if you also haven't done so already, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Otherwise, we will see you at the next one. Peace.